Video from Piers Morgan. Ta-da! I'm live. I am live just in time, actually. We're going to talk about James O'Keefe today, and we're going to see what's going on because there's some mystery afoot. Maybe we can get Velma. Actually, never mind. Velma has been lobotomized ever since. Well, the lady from Rick and Morty apparently took over, right? Like, so you guys know the Pickle Rick episode? If you like the Pickle Rick episode, it's made by the same person which made the Velma TV show. I did not know that, but now I found out, and everything became clear to me. I had an epiphany, they call it, right? Like when you realize something that like everything connects, and all of a sudden life becomes clear. There's no more mystery. You just understand what's going on. The lady from Rick and Morty. The reason I found out is that there's this guy, this creator of Rick and Morty. Forgot his name. Not important. But co-creator of Rick and Morty. He created the characters. And apparently he was a naughty person. He got in trouble with the law for domestic abuse. Serious issue. So he had to leave the show. Was forced out. And then I looked at it like, what episodes did he make? And apparently he didn't make that many episodes. The thing that I did discover was that Velma is made by the same lady which made the Pickle Rick joke. And I was like, naruhodo. Anyway, yes, I do comb my hair after I happen to leave the shower. Actually, you know what? I never shower, chat. What do you think about that? I never shower. Do you know what I do? I bathe. I bathe because I want to feel like a lord. I feel like a lord in the hot tub. And I can relax myself. One of the few moments of my day when I feel relaxed. You know how good it is to take a bath? People from Australia cannot understand this. It's like, what? You're like wasting water. I am like, good. We have floods in Romania. We have too much water. Like, that is the problem here. We have way too much water. So, it's not really wasteful. Yeah, seriously. Like, if you go to an Australian and you tell them, like, I take a bath every day, like, they will look at you like you're some sort of criminal. Like, you need to be locked up. You're a danger to society. And then you find out, oh, well, there's just too much water in Romania. I feel like there's other places in the world where you have that, California, right? Like, is California having serious problems with drought? Yeah, California as well. They don't have water. Isn't like this is something that I don't understand, chat. Like please help me understand, right? Like how can the left do this? So I'm looking at California on the map. I'm not an expert on it, right? I'm pretty sure there is an explanation, but like, how can you run out of water when you're literally fucking here? Like, this is where you're at, right? Like, this is where you're at. There's blue shit all over. I know it has salt, but I know that there's ways to purify it. Right? So you can like remove the salt from it, I've been told. So how can you actually? But not only that, like, isn't there like rainy days? Like you have the water evaporating and then it travels into clouds all over the land and it starts pissing all over. What? How can you have drought in this place? Like, I would understand having drought here. I don't even know where this is. But, like, this would be understandable, right? Does Texas have drought? How can you have drought? This is something that boggles my mind when because I'm pretty sure there's an explanation. Like, I'm not saying that I know the reason. I don't know the reason, which is why I ask. You can remove the salt, but it's California. Dude, if California doesn't have the money to remove the salt, get the fuck out. How much do Californians pay in taxes? Like, they pay so much taxes. They pay an arm and a leg in government taxes, and they don't have the resources to take out the salt from the water. Get the fuck out of here. Our policies in California, yeah, concerning water suck. There we go. So the left did this. They did this to you. Like, I genuinely am bewildered by this. How can you have drought when you're literally next to the ocean? I am willing to bet that if you have leftists setting up place in the desert, you're going to somehow run out of sand. Like, there's going to be like a place in the desert where the left are going to build a city and they're going to run out of sand or something. Like if they build a city in the Antarctica, you're going to run out of snow. They somehow manage. They're going to regulate it. Like they're going to regulate it out of existence. You will stick and you will be happy. It's always due to the regulations. Like that's the problem, right? Like whenever leftists go, like they like to regulate a lot. Because it's like without regulation, people do whatever they want and we can't have that. So they start regulating and regulating and regulating, and then you run out of the thing that you need. Thank you, Mike Savage. That was savage of you. In South Italy, sometimes there is not water for the bad infrastructure. Well, yeah, it's like this is not. Yeah, in Italy as well. Like, how the fuck can you run out of water? Like, this is what I don't get. Like, if you're next to the ocean, right? Like, I understand if you don't have anything. Like, the thing is, like, what is the most important resource in the world? It's water, right? Like, if you're on an island, the first thing you have to do is to find water. So if your people are thirsty and they don't have anything to drink, like literally the first thing you need to do is like, all right, well, we have an ocean next to us. Let's figure out how we can take away the salt from the water. I know it's expensive, but like we gotta do it because it's important. Like without water, people die. We need water for the crops. Like it has to be done. No matter the cost, we need to do it. But no, apparently. Problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money. Yeah. You need a committee to regulate those regulations. Probably. Can we regulate the regulate? They probably are regulating the regulators. That is the issue. So, anyway, we had the hearing on Twitter. I don't know how many hearings from Twitter have been. But, let me see if I can show you a couple of highlights from it. This one was very interesting with Yoel Roth. I love Yoel Roth. Yoel Roth has said something very interesting, which sparked my attention. More free speech actually means less. Can you let that sink in a little bit? Like, that was something so fucking deep. I did a colonoscopy just to find it. So, more free speech actually means less. On how many levels of education do you need to be in order to say something like this? Like, the common man just doesn't think of stuff this way. But for Yoel Roth, more free speech actually means less. So I guess like what he means. I will tell you what he means. If you have a person saying gamer words, it makes minorities quake in fear. Right? Like if you're a minority and you see gamer words on the screen, you see like the letters on you shiver in fear and you are too afraid to engage. I would say a counter argument though, like on the internet, everyone is equal. Unless you have like a better keyboard and you can type a little bit faster. And then Vegeta can go, oh my god, V, your N-words are so quick. How do you do it? What is your power level? You know, like, unless that, everyone is equal. Like, you can just type shit on the internet. It's not like in real life. Like, in real life, if you have a man that's twice your size and can hospitalize you with a punch, you know, he does AoE damage, like he punches you and you still move a little bit and then you wobble and fall down. He does DPS, that like a dot, damage over time. Right? You got this person does damage over time, punches you and then you start wobbling a little bit. And you're not going to talk shit to him, right? Because he's more intimidating. But on the internet, you can talk shit to him. What is he going to do? What is he going... Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing, right? Because you have a keyboard, he has a keyboard. But, you know, Mr. Roth, Yoel, has opened my mind to the truth. Especially because his job is to be part of the safety council. He was paid a lot, so it's in his interest that people believe that, you know, you can sleep safe at night because of Yoel Roth. Now, Yoel Roth got fired due to the fact that he was caught saying a couple of disturbing tweets, but also due to the fact that his PhD was trying to justify why children should watch adult programs, right? And Elon Musk showed it. It's like, look what's in his PhD. So, Mr. Roth was fired. Now, Mr. Roth believes that there are different reasons for his firings. Let's hear them out.
Elon Musk also made the decision to share a defamatory allegation that I support or condone pedophilia. And this lie led directly to a wave of homophobic and anti-Semitic threats and harassment against me, of which Twitter has removed vanishingly little. And following the Daily Mail's decision to publish where I live, ultimately I had to leave my home and sell it. Those are the consequences for this type of online harassment.
Now, what's interesting is that if that were to happen to me, I think I would be over the moon, chat. And I will tell you why I would be over the moon. Because then I can sue. Then I can sue and make money. Like, do you know how much money you can make if someone accuses you of stuff like that? Right? Like slanderous accusations? Calling you a pedophile? Like, immediately I would contact my lawyer. I would be like, mushy mushy. With the most glee in my, like, mushy mushy. I had to leave my house. I have evidence. The Daily Mail, they're the first we're going to sue. After that, we're going after the richest man in the world. But like, look at what the richest man in the world did, and you tell me whether or not it is libel. Looks like Yoel is arguing in favor of children being able to access adult internet service in his PhD thesis. Right? Grindr may well be too lewd or too hookup oriented to be a safe and age appropriate resource for teenagers, but the fact that people under 18 are on those services already indicate we can't readily dismiss this platform out of hand as looking for queer youth culture, rather than merely trying to absolve themselves of legal responsibility or worse. Service providers should instead focus on crafting safety strategies that can accommodate a wide variety of use cases for platforms like Grindr, including possibly their role in safely connecting queer young adults. I don't see him accusing him of right, so I'm looking again at this. I don't see him accusing of being a pedophile, but I do see him, like Elon Musk, I mean, right? He's not accusing Yoel in this of pedophilia, but what he is saying, how should I put it in a way that the left understand? His values do not reflect the values of Twitter. Is that not beautiful? Do I not learn the corporate speak? His values do not align with Twitter's own values. Right? No, sorry. His speech. His speech does not align with Twitter's values. And as we know, according to Yoel, more speech, more free speech, paradoxically means less. So I would feel unsafe letting my children on Twitter. Because that's the mentality, that the trust and safety, well, if the trust and safety things like that, not good, chat. Not good. How is that slander? It's not slander. If it was slander, he would sue. I mean, dude. Free money. I want to be slandered. Like, I would really like to be slandered by a rich person. Or a corporation, a news outlet. I would love if the Daily Mail wrote something slanderous about me. The man has a point, though. The more you have of something, the less you appreciate it. It works the same with food and oxygen. Yeah, but that wasn't his point. Like, his point wasn't that if you have a lot of free speech, you don't appreciate free speech. His point was that if you have free speech, then you're going to drive off minorities off platforms, because minorities do not want to see slurs and stuff, right? Which, again, the block button exists. The mute button exists. This is something that I learned on the internet probably like 1 or 2 months after I started using it. If you're a dick to people, everyone was blocking you, and eventually you had no people to talk with. Like, eventually you are completely alone and isolated. And then you realized, okay, well, I need to change my behavior. Because if I don't change my behavior, I will be #forever alone. There were no safety councils, no moderators to ban you, nothing. It was IRC, and it was good. It was the work of Jesus. And then the devil came and made Twitter. Old communist tactic. Accuse your opposition of what you do. Hello, Michael Guevara. Bonjour, Michael. Bonjour. Is it bonjour or bonsoir? I think it's both, isn't it? I'm talking to the French people in the chat. Bonjour or bonsoir. Alright, let's see what else we got. Look, this one is even better. I love this. This is my favorite. Numero uno.
Speech of a small number of abusive users drive away countless others.
I love how there's no evidence for this. Like, you can just state it as if it's true. A small number of abusive users drive away countless others. How many? Who? I mean, we're seeing under Elon's Twitter, there are people who are like airplanes. They're announcing their departure. And they're going to say, oh, I'm going to leave Twitter. And 4 days later, they're still there criticizing Elon Musk, right? So, like, I would like to see just how many abusive accounts, what exactly do they say that's abusive, and who are they driving away?
Unrestricted free speech, paradoxically, results in less speech, not more.
Again, listening to a person whose actual job he is paid in order to crack down on free speech, that's not something objective. Like, there is a financial interest for him to keep doing what he is doing.
More. And it was our job in trust and...
And another thing, right? Notice how I'm not speaking from anywhere. Like, I'm not reading a paper or anything like that. Do you know why? Because I'm talking from the heart. I genuinely believe in the things that I'm saying. And you can see this with other YouTubers. Like, Destiny doesn't read the script. Many people don't read scripts. But for some reason, when you see politicians and other people, influential people, right, like opinion influencers, like this gentleman, always read the script. Funny how that works, though. Like, why do they need it? And when you look at other politicians, I think like even Donald Trump, like in the beginning, I don't know towards the end, haven't watched it, but like in the beginning, he wasn't reading from script. I think that's what people appreciated the most, right? Like when you're talking freely, because you're passionate about what you're talking about, like you really believe in it. You don't need to maybe you have like 1-2 ideas written down and you just look at them. But other than that, you're going to see that most passionate people that have like really compelling and well thought out speeches, they don't read them from a paper.
And safety to try to strike an appropriate balance.
And by the way, safety, I really hate that. What safety means is authorized, right? Facebook, when they got sued, they called not authorized opinions. They called protected opinions. Yes. So basically, when Facebook was challenged on fact checkers, right? They didn't say that those are facts. They said that they're protected opinions. This is what safety means. It means authorized by the platform. So the platform gets to decide which ideas are authorized and which ones aren't. And they don't really cause a danger, but like they're basically saying you're not authorized to talk about these issues.
But the importance of this work goes far beyond Twitter's business prospects and into the realm of national security. In 2017, I led the team at Twitter that uncovered significant interference in an American election by agents of the Russian government. Their mission was to stoke culture war issues on social media to try to further divide Americans.
If that's the case, if Twitter was a national security issue, why wouldn't you shut it down? Why even risk it? Not to mention, you know that the Russians can just make newspapers in the United States. Like, nothing is stopping them. They used to do that in the Cold War. In the Cold War, you had, like, newspapers that were funded by the Russians within the U.S. soil. Or people who believed in communism. They could make their own newspapers. And, of course, they would try to influence elections. Like, they would make the case for the candidate. But even then, like, why would Russians always support the right wing in the United States? Like, since when is the right wing in the U.S. pro-Russia? Like, none of these questions have been answered. And for some reason, this is the boogeyman, right? It's like the Russians are behind every corner. They cannot win a war against the Ukraine, but they can mind control the American people using Twitter.
My team and I exposed hundreds of thousands of these accounts from Russia, but also from Iran, China, and beyond.
Okay, so hundreds of thousands of accounts, but they're not Russian. They're Russian, Chinese, Iranian, and they're all trying to influence the mind of Americans. You're telling me that the United States, right, they have CNN, they have MSNBC, they have like all the other outlets that are making pro-American propaganda, I assume. You have other Americans that are posting on social media, and all of that is nullified by a couple of hundreds of thousands of accounts. when we're talking about 350 million people. Maybe hire those accounts, man, if they're so powerful. You know, flip them to the good side.
It's a concern with these foreign interference campaigns that informed Twitter's approach to the Hunter Biden laptop story. In 2020, Twitter noticed activity related to the laptop that, at first glance, bore a lot of similarities to the 2016 Russian hack and leak operation.
Yeah, but we know that the FBI contacted Twitter and actually asked Twitter to censor the story. Like, the FBI doesn't deny this. So it's not like Twitter one day looked at the story, we noticed it. No. Like, you were told.
Targeting the DNC. And we had to decide what to do. And in that moment, with limited information, Twitter made a mistake. Under the distribution of hacked material policy, the company decided to prevent links to the New York Post stories about the laptop from being shared across the service.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can make a mistake like that, why not just shut down Twitter? For the period of the election. There are other countries that do it. I believe Uganda. Uganda does it. Uganda is actually a very funny story because the Americans were interfering in the Ugandan election. And Twitter banned the official account of the president of Uganda. So the president of Uganda, you're banning me? Then fuck you then. You know, it's like that scene from the movie. It's like, fuck you, motherfucker. They're like, oh, fuck me? No, fuck you. And they banned Twitter, and Joe Biden was concerned. I see. But they managed to have elections without Twitter. They banned it, I believe it was 1 month before and 2 months after the election. And that's it. And you know, like, you do this once every 4 years, who's going to complain?
I've been clear that in my judgment at the time, Twitter should not have taken action to block the New York Post's report.
Wasn't there like a poll, a survey that showed that if people known about the Hunter Biden laptop story, it could have swung the elections because they wouldn't have voted for Biden, right? So like if everyone knew about this story, there is a sufficient amount of people that would not have voted for Biden, which would have led to him not winning the election, right? And you're coming up here and you're like, oh, well, we did an oopsie. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure you did.
Reporting. And just 24 hours after doing so, the company acknowledged its error.
That is not true. That is not true at all. I remember that not only you weren't allowed to share the story on Twitter's public tweets, you weren't allowed to DM the story to other people. Like, that's even more spectacular. Glow in the dark. Only abusive speech, I think, that is annoying and bad is when leftists come out and scream in your face when you try to protest, which stops other free speech, but that is okay because it helps politicians. Man, there are leftists that organized campaigns against people on Twitter. So basically, if someone said something controversial, or no, let's say the left doesn't like a person, right? They don't like Tucker Carlson. Now, if the left doesn't like Tucker Carlson, what they do is they will go through Tucker Carlson previous tweets, do a little bit of offense necromancy, find out something that he said offensive 10 years ago, and then use that in order to try to cancel him and organize advertiser boycotts and all of that. Like, they have done this countless times, and that's not against the TOS. They have done this to individual people, they have done this to public people, right? They have absolutely no shame. And it's not against Twitter's terms of service. But apparently they stand against abuse. Like, what can be more abusive than trying to get a person fired? I don't know what's more abusive than that. Like, at least, you know, when Skullfuck47 says that he wants to shank your mother, you can turn off the computer. Right? Like, you can just log off Twitter. But when people are trying their best in order to get you fired, what can you do then? You turn off the computer, okay, but the people are still calling your boss. So, like, that level of abuse is permitted. The man has a point, though, says Gabriel. The more you have of... Oh, I already read this. Sorry, my bad. Zenith. In 2012, Obama, during election debate, told Mitt Romney that saying the Russians are behind everything is a conspiracy theory. Obama was the president. Well, do you guys remember that during Trump's presidency, you had the hashtag not my president trending? Like, that was something as a slogan for the left. To the point where I even made a little poem. It was, if Trump ain't your president, then you're an illegal resident. But now there were rules on social media that if you said the same about Joe Biden, you can get banned, right? Your video gets taken down. Your social media account gets closed. So yeah, no, this is a common tactic. I mean, denying the result of an election, I think it happened since George Bush. I don't know if before George Bush that was the case, but like the result was denied with Bush, and then like the same thing happened with Trump and Hillary, right? But all of a sudden, okay, well, we can't do it anymore because it threatens our democracy. I am willing to bet, and this is my prediction, that the next time a right-winger wins, the same thing will happen. Like they will deny the results. We'll see. We'll see, you know, but looking at history and noticing the trend, it's literally where we're going. And by the way, this is normal in a democracy. It happens in my country as well. It happens in every fucking country. You know, especially after it's happening in Brazil. Like, it happens everywhere. Unless the person wins with a significant majority, and then everyone gets to shut the fuck up. Especially when the results are close. You're going to have like a couple of incidents that happened here or there, and people are going to talk about it, and it's going to make mainstream media news. But like for some reason, we have to pretend that's not the case. The hard drive is part of the laptop? Oh. Anyway, let's move on. Why can't we move on? Hold on, we can't move on. I think I lost the link, chat. I think I'm a boomer. Shite. I'll get it back. Don't worry. Don't worry. Believe in me, chat. Believe in me. I got it. There we go.
Speech not acknowledged its error. But the decisions here aren't straightforward, and hindsight is 2020.
Yeah, but like, again, you're making all these powerful decisions on behalf of hundreds of millions of people. What is your punishment when you're wrong? Or what is your punishment when there is something you need to ban and you don't ban it, right? So this is why I dislike when companies say we have a responsibility. If you have a responsibility, then that means that you can be held responsible if you do not fulfill the responsibility. It's in the fucking name. But like all these companies, what they're saying, we have the power. That's what they're saying. We have the privilege. So you want to have the power to decide the conversation that hundreds of millions of people are having. With no repercussion and no way of the people that you are policing to be able to hold you accountable if you're doing a bad job.
It isn't obvious what the right response is to a suspected but not confirmed cyber attack by a...
This is why it should be up to the government and not up to a private company, right? If you don't know what the right response is, then don't fucking do anything about it. Let the government handle it.
Another government on a presidential election. I believe Twitter erred in this case because we wanted to avoid repeating the mistakes of 2016. And so the basic job of trust and safety is to try to strike this balance between the harms of...
How can you be trust and safety if people literally don't trust you and they feel unsafe? They don't trust you because you just said you made a huge blunder, and they feel unsafe because I genuinely don't know what is a joke on Twitter versus what is a community guideline strike. I mean, if I show a South Park episode on Twitter, will I get banned? I have seen people making jokes, posting memes. And they're getting, oh my god, you're the violator. Meanwhile, I have seen other people, usually blue check marks, severely violating the TOS on Twitter, and nothing happens to them.
Restricting too much speech and the dangers of doing too little. I'll be the first to admit that...
I love how it's like, if you restrict too much speech, it's a problem, but if you restrict too little, it's a danger. And by the way, danger means problematic. That's what it means, right? Because first it was offensive, and then when people got used to the word offensive, they switched to problematic. Then when people got used to the word problematic, it's danger, right? So it's dangerous, harmful.
That we didn't always get it right.
I'm curious, like, when they're going to move to violent. It's violent if you say this.
Even rare mistakes add up when you're carrying out content moderation at the scale of hundreds of millions of unique...
Yeah, so then don't fucking do it. You clearly are incapable of doing it. It should not be your job. All right? Like, if you can't do it, let the government do it.
Posts per day.
Because at least with the government, you can vote for the people. You know, if they do it incorrectly, you can make sure that they don't get elected again. But, like, what can you do with Twitter?
While I was head of trust and safety at Twitter, I strove to do this work with impartiality and with a commitment to the fair enforcement of Twitter's written rules.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm looking at the donations that Twitter gave, especially during the presidential campaign. It was like over 95% they donated to the Democrats. And you can come up here and say, oh, yes, I did it with impartiality. The same people are crying that Elon Musk is a right-winger, right? And the fact that he's a right-winger, like, affects the platform somehow. And by the way, like, ever since Elon Musk came to power, I have seen left-wingers and right-wingers getting banned. I'm pretty sure, like, now, people are being treated equally on the platform. You violate the Twitter rules, you get banned. At least that's the vibe I'm getting. I don't know about you guys.
But whether it's me or Elon Musk or someone else in the future, someone will have to make choices about the governance of online spaces. Those decisions should not be made behind closed doors or based on personal whims.
You literally make these decisions behind closed doors. We would have never known about the FBI if it wasn't for the Twitter files. You, like, non-stop you're making these decisions behind closed doors. When's the last time they ever polled the people about something? When is that they asked the people, hey, you know what, like, do you want us to have this TOS in or not? You never talk to the community. You never engage. Even the blue check marks on Twitter, you know, a lot of people are laughing because haha, you're paying for Twitter, right? Like, a lot of leftists are being very smug right now. Turns out they would ask for around up to $15,000 under the fucking table to get this blue check mark. A lot of people do not understand the power of this shit. It's a tool, you know. It's kind of like having an X-ray machine, right? It's expensive, but if you get an X-ray machine and you put it in your house, you don't know what to do with it. You don't know how to operate it. You can't use it for anything. But if a doctor gets an X-ray machine, he can actually charge people for money in exchange for services. The blue check mark is very useful for bloggers, journalists, influential people, because you can connect with other blue check marks. You have now like a new chat window where you can talk with other blue check marks, and that allows you to set up interviews, to discuss important things. You can't do that if you don't have it. So if you're a person like Tim Pool, for example, and you're trying to schedule interviews with people, having a blue checkmark is very important. Like, if you want to schedule an interview with James O'Keefe, right? Like, he probably has hundreds of thousands of people following him. And his DMs are filled with various people trying to contact him every day. Now, if you have a blue checkmark, it puts you on top of that list. So if you want to schedule an interview with him, you message him, boom, you're on top of the list. He notices you, he talks to you. So yeah, it's something very important. This is why people paid up to $15,000 for a blue check mark, which they would sell under the table. So don't talk to me about like, we're doing this openly and it's important not to do it behind closed doors. Especially since the blue check mark was overwhelmingly given to the left. To the point where people were even making fun of the situation. Like they were saying the blue check marks on Twitter and you immediately knew who you're talking about. We may have hard people, but we are okay with that because it's an honest mistake. Or so we say. Also, what mistake in 2016? The mistake in 2016 is allegedly there were Russian bots and they didn't ban them. That's the mistake, right? Which, let's be honest, I genuinely do not think that the Russians have managed to influence the elections in 2016. Because, and not to mention, you know, okay, let's assume that that's the case. Let's say that the Russian government was helping the Republicans to win the election. Weren't there other governments that were trying to help the Democrats? Like, do you not think Germany was trying to help the Democrats win? Like, I remember, it was so fucking hilarious that after Trump took office, the German foreign minister said that, oh, well, we don't have a policy for trading with America because we didn't expect Trump to win. That was literally an official statement. It baffled me. It's like, what the fuck? But that's what happened, right? So, for some reason, it's like, oh, only the German... Like, every nation which has influence is going to try to project that during an election period in the United States. Like every nation is going to try to swing the needle one way or another. Because we live under globalism. Everything is connected, right? Like, I'm pretty sure when elections happen in Romania, foreign governments are trying to interfere. And by interfering, I mean trying to convince people to vote for a certain political candidate. I would be shocked if, like, Germany doesn't try to influence Romania's elections one way or another, or the United States. But it is what it is, you know. Seems like we have a big blue check mark in the chat. Oh, we got Mioli. Mioli is a... We got many blue check marks in the chat, actually. We got Lazy One. We got Mioli. We got Celdio. Not that many, actually. But we do have check marks, yes. Yeah, I mean, it's just like the way things are going to happen from now on. You are going to... Like, whenever there's an election, yes, you're going to be exposed to other nations. Like, the idea that... Well, for example, Brazil, right? Facebook had a war room to deal with the elections in Brazil. So an American corporation has a war room. That's what they claimed it, by the way. Not I. They call it a war room. So like an American company is deciding who gets to be amplified and who gets to be suppressed in Brazilian elections. That's globalism. That's what's going to happen. Like you can't do anything against it. Unless you're Pakistan and you're banning Wikipedia. They actually did that. You know why they banned Wikipedia in Pakistan? They banned it because... How did they put it? It's blasphemous. Blasphemous, yes. Wikipedia blasphemes. And because of that, you're blaspheming here. Not on our watch. Inshallah. And now Wikipedia is done. They gave it 24 hours. I love that. It's like 24 hours. Fix your site. It's like, motherfucker. Even if they wanted to, they wouldn't be able to fix it in 24 hours. I think they banned it in 23, though. It's just... I was laughing my ass off. Yeah, Wikipedia is blasphemous. Do you still think the Matrix isn't real? I do think that there are... the deep state, as they call it, right? Like in many countries, you have certain people that are in key positions of power and exert more influence than they should. But I do not think that after Andrew Tate, all right? Like, I genuinely do not think that the world is plotting against a person who, A, is not a politician, B, does not want to be a politician, C, he's not that influential. He's not a rock star that's known around the world. I didn't know who he is, by the way. I didn't know who he is until they started messing with him. And again, like, he's not the only one that's being accused. It's his brother. And on top of that, 2 other women. And on top of that, apparently now, an entire police station. Like, if it was just after Andrew Tate, why are they going after a police station? Can you please explain to me? Tatas, yes. He's the top guy. Yeah. Should we talk about Mr. O'Keefe now? V, you too can get a check mark if you give V $8 a month. If you give me $8 a month, I will give you a wrench. How about that? You know what? You don't even have to give me $8 a month. $8 and I will give you a wrench. Rumor is he got a search warrant from YouTube after his latest bust. What? Nani? Is that a thing? I drank all the coffee. Here in Croatia, the opposite is happening with Wikipedia. Every social democrat prime minister said our students should use English Wikipedia, since our language version is taken by insane right-wingers. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, no, Wikipedia is a way to launder slander and libel, right? So the way it works, and I have seen this happen a lot of times, they would slander someone. So they will go to a famous person, Tulsi Gabbard, let's say, and they would slander her. Now, the newspapers can now quote Wikipedia and say, look, slanderous accusations. Now, Tulsi cannot sue the newspaper because the newspaper say, well, we found it on Wikipedia. That's our source. So what Tulsi can now do is to try to find out, okay, well, what editor on Wikipedia slandered her? And even if she finds him, like she finds Skullfuck47 that issued the slander, what can she do? Like it's so difficult. Like, first of all, you need to find out who they are. You need to start an international lawsuit. Good luck with that, right? So it's a really good way to launder, slander, and libelous accusations. Or to wash away controversy. That can also happen, right? So you can outlet, like, go to Anita Sarkeesian's Wikipedia page. Absolutely no mention of how the fact that she's a con artist, that she scammed people of money, that she doesn't play video games. Like, none of those are mentioned, right? Pristine article. If foreign people are messing with our elections, can we ever say democracy represents the will of the people? Well, no, because the messing of your elections. First of all, I dislike the idea of messing with your elections because they're not going to vote in your place, okay? Unless they are, which is a crime. If it happens, it should be punished. But that's not like what messing with elections, because it's a very interesting language trick. What they're saying is that they're trying to influence American opinion, right? So, like, outside forces are trying to influence the way Americans think. But you're in a global society. You're on the internet. When you go on the internet, you're talking with the world. Every day, other people are trying to influence how you think. That is how the internet is supposed to function. And even before the internet, right? Like, May Day, for example. Like, May Day happened because a bunch of communist agitators came into the United States, agitated the workers, threw a couple of firebombs into the police line, which the police then ended up opening fire on the workers. That's why you have May Day, right? Now, those communist agitators had their own newspaper, which was written in German. It was very left-leaning, very communist-oriented. But that is like a foreign entity, right? Like, they came to, I mean, you can argue that it's not foreign, because now they were in the US, right? But they came on the United States, like agitators came in the US, opened up their own newspaper, which was which was a revolutionary newspaper against the government, trying to plant sedition into the minds and hearts of the workers. Yeah, agitprop, as they call it, agitation and propaganda. Let me show you the. There's a Wikipedia article about it. Hold on, give me a sec. I'm trying to find out where it is. I think it's called Labor Day Massacre. Haymarket Affair, it's called. All right. So this is the Haymarket Affair. And you can see the publication, which was written in German, right? So in the United States, a paper was written in German so that Americans have difficulty reading it, like English people have difficulty reading it. Because it was very anti-government, very seditious. And what ended up happening is that the police, the workers decided to have a peaceful strike. Okay? And they were just minding their own business, like exercising their right to peacefully protest. But communist agitators from within the workers, they threw bombs at the police officers, they opened fire, and the police opened fire back. And this is called the Haymarket Affair. Now, what's interesting is that the United Nations, or was it the Soviet Union? I have to look it up. I think it was the United Nations. Let's see who solidified it. It's been a long time since I read about it. Yeah, the United Nations, they call this event to be Workers' Day, right? As to commemorate the tragic loss of life, which again the communists started, and that's why we celebrate this particular day as Workers' Day. Very few people know about it. I think I made the video back in the day. League of Nations. Okay, my bad. See, I was I was a little bit certain that I'm messing something up. It's been a long while since I read it. Yeah, it's called the League of Nations. The United Nations didn't exist at the time. More German speakers live in the United States than you might think. No, I'm not saying that German speakers didn't live in the United States. I'm saying that they made a communist paper specifically targeting German speakers. And it was a communist paper designed to agitate and make sure that people rise up against the government. All right. Let's look at Jameas. Jameas O'Keefe. So, you may have seen him. He's the smug individual, usually going after people that run away from him. And recently, he went after Pfizer's financial interest. You can't do that. And after that, apparently, he was placed on paid leave. Now, Project Veritas has made a statement, and they don't mention him at all. Let's see if I can find the statement. Here we go. I will read it to you. Project Veritas has achieved immense growth and impact over the last 3 years. Like all newsrooms at this stage, the Project Veritas board of directors and management are constantly evaluating what the best path forward is for the company. The board and management are continuing this internal evaluation to assure our long-term success. Project Veritas will never stop, and we will never let our supporters down. There are 65 employees at Project Veritas dedicated to continuing the mission to expose corruption, dishonesty, waste, fraud, and other misconduct, both public and private institutions. To our supporters, we hear you, we care about you, and we will never give up. Also, notice how they don't mention James O'Keefe at all. And we got this here saying that this is a coup. The Project Veritas coup. This is by Old Row founder. I was banned for over 2 years for being handsome and funny. Followed by The Quartering and Jack Posobiec. A whistleblower has contacted me about the news that James O'Keefe was put on leave and stripped of all authority. This is difficult for me to publish as staunch supporter of Project Veritas for years and even a VIP at their events. But what is happening to James O'Keefe is unconscionable. And the attempt hostile takeover of Project Veritas need to be stood against by its supporters. This will not stand. James is a bit of a victim of poor corporate structure. As PV is two separate, Project Veritas is two separate organizations and had very few board members and majority of the money, and 501c4, which had significantly more board members than money. According to my source, the situation has allowed two alleged ringleaders of this attempt to push James out to have significant sway over the other, despite their reasons to be essentially meritless. The board had 6.5-hour struggle session with James, where they subjected him to constant derision and insults at the instant of Mr. Tirmand O'Hara and Higley. About 10 employees aired their grievances about James, which essentially boiled down to him being a tough boss to work for. At the end of the day, 6-hour struggle session, Tirmand and a fellow board member, John Garvey, put him on leave and stripped him of all authority. It was a Stalinesque kangaroo court trial. The thing that is so very profound to me is that no one seems to grasp John Garvey and the rest of all the board did nothing to stop it. It was all scripted, all 6 fucking hours. This comes in the immediate aftermath of Project Veritas' greatest moment ever, exposing the corruption at Pfizer, which my source thought was extremely suspicious timing. You put the founder right after your biggest win of all time. Project Veritas must explain this situation. The fact that he's placed on indefinite on paid leave rather than kicked out shows that they're curious to see how the public is reacting to this. So I suppose that if people are okay and they don't complain too much, then bye-bye, Mr. Kifi. But if people complain and they are concerned about this, then maybe Kifi gets to keep his job back. That's what I think. But for Kifi, my opinion is that this doesn't really matter, considering that he's a good journalist. Like, he can just start his own business again, right? He can get people started from the grounds up. Because at the end of the day, many people point out, like, well, it is hard to say if Project Veritas is James O'Keefe or not. Right? Because you see him in front of the camera, you see him address the public, but you don't know how many people are behind him and how many people do the work. But I have confidence that if he starts his own career, like if he starts his own business, it would be profitable. And you would have people watching it. Now, I don't know. It is interesting regarding the accusations that he is a bad person. Usually, if you are a person that's very important to the company, which I'm pretty sure James O'Keefe is, even if you're a bad guy, they will not kick you, right? Like, if you're the main tank in a World of Warcraft guild, they're not going to throw you out because you're the main fucking tank. So, either this decision is political, which is probably the most likely thing, right? Like, these new board members do not like O'Keefe. Or this decision is not political and it's based on the fact that he wasn't that important for the company. It will be interesting to see. I hope that he goes back, though, because I kind of like him. But the thing is, like, if they're going to turn Project Veritas into just an average news organization, right? So, like, the thing that I liked the most about them was the hidden camera interviews. Like, this is how journalism is actually supposed to happen. Not to just talk about things that you see on Twitter. No, like, they would catfish people from various companies or political affiliations, and then they would use a hidden camera in order to catch them in the act. And this is how I imagine journalism should actually happen. Now, if they give up on that and they just become another boring outlet, there's no way that they can compete with CNN, MSNBC, and all the others. Like, the airwaves are inundated with left-wing organizations to the point where if you try to compete in that space, you're not going to do much, especially when their organization doesn't even seem to have like a fancy studio like the Young Turks or something like that. So, yeah, like if they kick O'Keefe, it will depend what type of investigations they do after. You know, like if they come up with like another Fizer story without O'Keefe, I think people will stay. But the question is, will they? So that is my opinion. Like, without O'Keefe, I don't think there is a Veritas. I mean, there can be if they keep up the same type of interviews, right? Like, if they keep up uncovering stuff, if they keep up doing the groundwork. But then the question would be like, why did they keep for O'Keefe? Like, was he really that aggressive to the other employees? Was he really that problematic, as they like to say? Maybe this is an attempt to ensure failure. It could be. I don't know. I need more information. I need to see what's going to happen in the next couple of months to be able to tell you. Like, will he even come back? Because it's another possibility. Like, after the paid leave, they can allow him to come back. There has been a lot of infighting on the right recently, just saying it is fishing that like every other organized opposition gets broken up this way. There has been fighting on the left as well. We're getting close to elections, right? So before elections, this is normal. Like, you're going to see this with the left and the right. There's infighting at Disney, for example, right? Like, they pulled out a new CEO, which is now firing 7,000 people. There's infighting at Netflix. There's infighting everywhere. We're getting close to an election. And on top of that, money is running dry. I mean, I said this during the pandemic. Like, you cannot shut down the world economy without consequences. And I was told, well, if we can even save one life. Well, I hope you managed to save that life, because now many lives are going to be in danger as the economy is worsening every day. So we'll see where it ends up. But It's not just fighting on Project Veritas. I mean, and yeah, like there has been fighting with Tim Pool and Quartering. There has been fighting with Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder. But it's expected. Like, fights do happen. To be honest, I enjoy them. They're very entertaining. But on top of that, it allows for more creativity, more diverse opinions. I wouldn't like it if like, everyone was on the same page and everyone had the same narrative, because that would be creepy as fuck. At least I know, that's how you know it's not controlled opposition. Because the right has different opinions and different takes. Right? Like, if you have everyone on the same page, it's called the paradox of agreement. Like, when everyone agrees on something that shouldn't be agreed on, like you should have difference of opinions, it means that someone is manipulating the consensus. Show Ben Shapiro's sister memes. I do not know them. Is it America's Most Wanted without John Walsh? Yeah, no, you're right. Like, I do not think that Project Veritas can go without James O'Keefe, with the exception if they make good. Because at the end of the day, people do not tune in for Project Veritas to see James O'Keefe, right? Like, imagine this: you're having a segment, YouTube exposed. Here's what Susan Wojcicki talks behind closed doors. Are you not going to click that? Are you not going to click that if it's not James O'Keefe? Are you telling me you're not going to click that? Or another one, it's like what Pfizer said about their vaccines. Project Veritas reveals behind closed doors. Are you not going to click that? If it's not James O'Keefe, are you not going to click that? I think you're going to click that. But the question is, right, will they make those types of investigations? Will they keep doing them? That's my question. I don't think they'll keep doing them. So if they don't keep doing them, then there is no Project Veritas. You said that the Twitter files and don't know what they were about. I bet you did not actually read them and patted them about other When did I say I don't know what the Twitter files are about? I never made that claim. You're clicking it now? I'll click it as well. Fighting or right gets magnified, left is quieted. There were fightings on the left. Let me think about it. But yeah, usually you don't have fights on the left because, like, if you're on Twitter, you're not allowed to fight. Sorry, if you're on Twitch, you're not allowed to fight with another comment creator, right? So, like, you may have, like, Ethan Klein, throwing a jab at another leftist. Like, that can happen, but it's very rare, right? It's because the terms of service are not allowing them to fight with each other. Don't mind that guy. He keeps trolling around in chat. He doesn't even comment on the stream. Okay, well, whatever. But, like, I made my arguments, right? Like, I explained why I believe what I believe. I think that without James O'Keefe, if they keep doing the investigation, there will still be a Project Veritas. I'm willing to explain, to have someone explain to me why that's not true. Like, why would it be that if they make a really good article, people wouldn't click on it? However, I don't think that they will make good articles. And that's my argument. I'm willing to change my mind, but no one is telling me anything else. Oh, there's beef in the chat. My bad. Keep on beefing on then. He's arguing with other people in the chat. I see. Tim never attacked fans and gaslit with really bad tinfoil hat conspiracy theories, ignoring free speech. I think the problem with Tim Pool is he doesn't like being called wrong on things. That's my view of him. I've been watching him for several years. After he started Timcast, I stopped watching him because I don't have time to watch live streams, right? So, but like before Timcast, I watched him quite a bit. I even met him in real life for a couple of minutes. And my opinion of Tim Pool is that he doesn't like to be called wrong on something, right? He doesn't like changing his mind on issues. And I think his ego came in the way, right? Like he doesn't like to be shown, like, no, you're wrong. You should change your mind. And that's what happened. And this is something that you'll notice with a lot of YouTubers, right? This is why internet blood sports went the way it went. It's because YouTubers do not have, like when you're... This is why VTubers are actually doing better than most normal YouTubers. Because a VTuber is a woman that's under a corporation and she's got management, right? Like she's got a handler. And the handler tells her, like, shut the fuck up. Don't talk shit about other colleagues of yours. Don't open your mouth about this. Don't talk about that. Right? Like she's constantly reminded about these things. So you're not going to see like corporate VTubers starting drama. You're not going to see their ego get into the way. Pipkin Pippa has now like 2,000 viewers. She doesn't have an ego. Like she's never going to tell her subscribers to fuck off. Why? Because she has a handler. Now, YouTubers are different. YouTubers are usually people who had a normal life, probably like you, or worse, and all of a sudden they find fame, right? And on the internet, they're the king of shit. And they realize, oh my god, I'm so famous, especially like if you manage to get 1 million subs. Oh my god, I'm so famous, I'm so smart, like look at me, look how many people like me, right? And it goes to your head. It makes you have a huge level of ego. And then you expect respect from other people, right? Because it is, like I'll tell you this, I got 150,000 subscribers, right? And every now and then someone contacts me on Twitter and DMs me. And they're like, hi. And I'm like, oh, hello, how are you doing, right? Because I like to talk with fans. And they say something like, oh my god, you responded. Oh, wow, I'm a huge fan. Like, they're impressed. And I'm like, dude, I'm just another human being. Just stop acting like that. Just treat me normal. But, like, when you keep seeing people like that, you know, like, they're acting as if you're a rock star or something when you're not. Now, this is with me with 100,000 subs. I don't know how it's like for the people with 1 million subs. And what does that to someone's ego? To be viewed like an actual celebrity when you talk around people. It's bizarre, right? So it goes to your head that when you see another YouTuber, which doesn't kiss your ass, which doesn't behave the same way, and especially when they're like contradicting you or trying to be rude to you, oh, then you get really upset, right? And even if it's like against making good business, they forget that this is a business. They start thinking that it's about changing the world. They start thinking that, oh, it's I'm God's gift to the internet and I need to put them in their place. But anyway, right, so that's my opinion on things. And this is why Internet Bloodsports didn't work. Internet Bloodsports was so fucking surreal. All you had to do, right, was to be a host, have a co-host, invite someone to debate someone, and shut the fuck up. Like, that's all you had to do. Shut the fuck up. Let people talk and read the super chats. And they were making like $20,000 a month. Okay? A lot of fucking money. Every single one of these shows ended up with the co-hosts arguing with each other. Every single one of them. And I'm like, why? Why are you arguing? But how can you argue over this? Like, you're making 20 grand a month. And you're arguing? Even like if you don't like the guy, just shut up. Shut up and read the super chats. But no. It was what it was, you know? It's just so fucking bizarre. It was called Internet Bloodsports because I think like the first channel that popularized them was the Kumate, right? So the Kumate was like a fight sport. And Internet Bloodsports was basically debates between people that were screaming at each other. So they were literally yelling at each other, right? And there were usually like far-right debates, you know, like identity politics from a right-wing perspective. And back then on YouTube it was allowed, but every single one of them, like most of them actually, didn't get banned by YouTube. No, they got banned. They ended up disappearing because the the co-host started arguing with each other. There's a huge case on ego on the center and to the right because those creators are succeeding despite the algorithms. So it inflates their ego quickly. No, I don't think that's the case because I see it on the left as well. Like, do you not think Hassan Piker has an ego? Do you not think Ethan Klein has an ego? Right? Like, when you are successful by yourself without joining a company, your ego is through the roof. And most of these people are blinded to the fact that they forget the reason why they're doing this, right? You either do it as a hobby, as a job, or to change the world. But like a lot of them claim to do it as a job. A lot of them want the money, but then like they allow their ego to destroy their entire channel. Ego is fundamental human nature. Yeah, but in order to be a man, you need to learn how to control it. Like when it's okay to let loose and when it's okay to turn it down. Like when you're at work, you turn it down. At the end of the day, you know, YouTube, even if you want to change the world or influence people, it's a job. If you don't pay the bills, you stop doing what you're doing. Why change the world? I don't know. Like some people want to. Anyway, no, there wasn't blood, Kaidrakai. It was metaphorical. Anyway, right. Thank you for watching. I still need to release some videos on my main channel and my secondary channel. Hopefully you guys found this stream entertaining. And as usual, I will see you all tomorrow.